Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got big news for you. Yep, Jim Harbaugh has been suspended for the rest of the season, it appears, and Ohio State's all tore up about it. You can tell.
Oh, boy, is this great!
And I fully expect Michigan to fight this to the tooth and nail. They're going to try everything they can to get a temporary restraining order or an injunction.
I'll slap an injunction on them so fast it'll make their head spin.
Oh, yeah. And they'll be bringing out Judge Smales. You can just count on that. I would not be a bit surprised if they get an emergency hearing with a judge in Michigan and that they get an injunction. It would not surprise me in the slightest. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they've already got the paperwork done, and it's probably running over to the court right now. And here's the report. Big Ten suspends Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh from coaching in games for the remainder of the season based on an NCAA investigation into sign stealing. It says, per the statement from the Big Ten, Harbaugh will be prohibited from being on the sideline on game days, will still be allowed to coach during the week. The full statement from the league says the Big Ten Conference announced today that University of Michigan has been found in violation of the Big Ten sportsmanship policy for conducting impermissible in-person scouting over multiple years, resulting in unfair competitive advantage that compromise the integrity of competition. It says, as a penalty imposed on the institution, Michigan cannot compete with its head football coach for the remainder of the 2023 regular season, effective immediately. It shall not preclude Michigan from having its head coach attend practices or other football team activities other than the game activities which it applies. For clarity, the head football coach shall not be present at the game venue on the dates of the games to which this discipline action applies. The Big Ten will have no additional comment at this time. And of course, Twitter is blowing up right now. This shows Jim Harbaugh. Looks like he's having an emergency tarmac meeting. And I understand the plane ride, Petiti was actually on the plane, and Harbaugh had to deal with him.
Get off my plane.
Yeah, so that was kind of rough. And here, I knew Pete Thamel would be all over this thing. It says, Michigan confirms in a statement that it will seek a court order to fight a decision from the Big Ten that it calls hasty and claims it violates the conference's own handbook. So you had to know this was coming, that they were going to fight this, and I'm not the slightest bit surprised. And this all has to do with Connor Stalions, who we've seen picture after picture, video after video of him standing on the sidelines, him watching signs and then holding his hand up if it was going to be a pass and all kinds of different things. And he was always in the ear of the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Here's something by Ross Dellinger. It said a week ago during a call, the NCAA and President Charlie Baker informed the Big Ten that the organization's investigation could prove the videos taken through in-person scouting from seats purchased by Connor Stalions were delivered back to the Michigan staff. And it's important to remember if the record after Stalions was hired. Again, Michigan was 69-24 before Connor Stalions was hired as an off-field analyst. And after that, 21-1 went from 69% winning percentage to 91%. And again, this is a team that had been beaten by Ohio State 8 years in a row, the last couple by multiple touchdowns. And then the last 2 years since Connor Stalions arrived, they have whooped Ohio State by 2 and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns at Ohio State's home field, which is shocking. So Connor Stalions has been a huge hire in 2 different ways. Number one, he's brought you a lot of victories or played a significant role in my opinion, but he's also brought you a lot of grief. And it's all coming down right now, and it's going to be difficult. It appears Michigan's going to fight this to the bitter end, and that's going to make the NCAA really come after them. This is tough because if you're Michigan, this is a chance to win a national title. You might as well try to win it. You know, even if it gets vacated later, at least you got it. But on the other hand, the NCAA is going to hammer you. The more you fight this, the more they're going to hammer it. What the NCAA likes is when you collect all the evidence yourself, hand it over to them, and then say, you know, we throw ourselves on the mercy of the court. Just don't give us a bowl ban.
Got the evidence. Put the evidence in the car. But put the evidence in the car.
AKA the Vols, which they did 2-3 years ago with Jeremy Pruitt. And it sucks because they're going to be under a cloud for a couple of years because the NCAA does not move fast. They are just intentionally slow, and it's agonizing, and it sucks.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Yes, it absolutely does. So for that part, I don't feel good for Michigan at all. I hate that for them. But look, you cannot have a guy out there doing what Connor Stalions was doing. And look, we also know that Connor Stalions, for some reason, has been selling used vacuum cleaners. He had like 30 of them on his front porch, and some sort of side business. Very, very weird.
I said, don't disturb me while I'm cleaning my room.
And the starting running back was actually supposedly technically in business with him, according to the LLC, but the running back, Corum, said he had no idea. So anyway, we'll see how this plays out, but the vacuum cleaner thing is just weird. So Jim Harbaugh suspended for the remainder of the year, and this is just the beginning of this fight. Anybody that thinks this thing's over is sadly mistaken.
It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
Don't be shocked if Jim Harbaugh is on that sideline tomorrow against Penn State. And it's a very big game, top 10 team, and Michigan needs to win this to stay on their path to the playoff. If they lose this, it'll be problematic for sure. And then Ohio State's just over there waiting in the wings. They cannot wait to get their hands on Michigan. It's going to be an epic battle. So this is really, it's hard to look away. It just is. This has been one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen in college football. I told you I thought it was the biggest story in a decade, maybe the last 2 or 3 decades. It's huge. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I told you I thought he was going to get like a 4-game suspension. I guess it's a 3-game suspension, which makes sense because everybody was talking about 2 and 4. It just makes sense for the remainder of the year. And like I said, it may not make any difference. They find a good judge, they'll be fine. So anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the NCAA. I usually cover the SEC, the Vols, but this has been such a huge story. I'm all over it. And I'm going to keep following it and keep following it. So if you have not subscribed, hit this little button right here, and it'll send you my videos just easier if you want to keep up with this, if you enjoy my content. It doesn't cost you a penny. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.